We are now recording.
Okay, so once again, I'm just going to take you really quickly through a sandbox version of one of the courses that I teach to illustrate for you my orientation unit and what a content unit looks like in my particular course. And your orientation might look completely different than this. Your content unit might look completely different than this. I just want to kind of walk you through some aspects of those so that you can see how the Online Education Initiative's rubric and the @ONE standards kind of merge. And it will give you a little sense of what we're expecting when you do a presentation. So without further ado, I will share my screen with you. This is a transfer level communication course. The course that I teach is Gender and Communication. And right now we're in week 10. So we have an orientation week, and then I have 5 units in the course, and each unit is 3 weeks long. So what you see right now in week 10 is that we're in our 3rd week of our 3rd unit. So we have the orientation unit in week 1, and then 3 weeks of unit 1, 3 weeks of unit 2, and now 3 weeks of unit 3. I change a home page to my course every single week. So on Monday morning, I give a new homepage. But I also keep the homepage similar for the entire unit. So in unit number 3, in the first week, what they saw was this little introductory video from cjane.org. This is a unit on images of gender in advertising, so in mass media. And then they would see this little television that says begin unit 3. And that is a link that takes them directly to the beginning of the unit. So when they click on that, it takes them right to the unit overview. Now we're an instructor view, so, oh my goodness. Sorry about that. It is, never quite goes as smoothly as you want it to when I'm in a hotel room with a bad connection and in a copy of my course. So it takes them to this as it loads here. Okay, so they're dropped directly into the beginning of that unit where they see the unit objectives and it gives them an overview of what they're going to learn in that particular unit. And so for me, it's really important at the beginning of the unit to have the students understand what they're doing in the unit and why they're doing it and how it builds to what we've been practicing in our course. And then on the second page of my unit, there is a to-do list that's broken up by week. So I've color-coded this. In week 1, they do the green work. In week 2, they do the orange work. And in week 3, they do their red work. And this explains to them any graded assignment that's due, any reading that's due, all of the pieces that are mandatory parts of the unit. So that's kind of a brief introduction to the units. But I also want to show you, so this is what they're seeing now that they're in the 3rd week of week 3. But in the very beginning of the course, what they're going to see, I have to move my Zoom menu here, sorry. My campus has what's called a preview week. And so when you're teaching an online course, you have to have your course open 1 week before the semester actually starts. And this is just an opportunity for students who are new to online learning or are not 100% sure whether or not they want to stay in your course to look around your course and decide whether or not the course really meets their needs. And so it kind of helps cut down on the drops in week 1 so that you're not adding students to your course in week 3. Anybody that's going to drop will drop before the start date, and then you can add people in that week 1, which is really helpful. So what I do in that preview week is allow them access to the orientation unit, everything but the interactive pieces. So they can't post to the discussion forum, they can't take the quiz, they can't do any of the interactive pieces of the orientation unit, but they can read the information. Now, I'm hoping this button is going to work because maybe there's something wrong with my course copy. Okay, it's fine. So when they click on the Start Here button, it drops them automatically into the orientation unit. I'm going to take you to this modules page so that you can see if I had started my students on the module page, this is what they would see. And so the Getting Started module right here has 20-some pages. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine if you're a student who's never taken an online course, or a student who's returning to college, or a student who's a little apprehensive about the amount of work to do in a course, and you saw a 22-page Getting Started unit, you might feel overwhelmed. You might feel like you want to drop the course. But if instead you start here in my welcome page, it's a paragraph. It's not as overwhelming. It's just not going to give them the same sense of, oh my gosh, that's a ton of work. And so I essentially hide that module view from them at first. I use Canva to create a button here that says select next to continue to the next button, just in case someone's never taken a course in Canvas and doesn't know what they should be doing. Mm-hmm. And when they click the next button, it takes them directly to the to-do list for that specific week. So by Wednesday, you need to do this. By Saturday, you need to do this. And then our orientation unit is over. So it's very short lists. It looks very doable. It doesn't look like a big deal to them. Review the material, complete a little readiness tutorial, check to see that your computer is ready, get to know each other. Very doable, okay? And then, as you'll know from having the OESP course, I'm really into virtual orientations. I think they're super important for students to get to know you. So I have a virtual orientation session, and I let my students know that everyone needs to either attend or view the virtual orientation. So there's actually an assignment that's involved with this. And during the orientation, I give them the directions for the assignment, and I don't have those directions anyplace else. So they have to watch the virtual orientation to get the assignment instructions. And if they send me an email and say, I wasn't at the virtual orientation, so I don't know what the instructions are for the assignment, I have a little email that I send back to them that says, thank you so much for being proactive and asking about this assignment. Watch the virtual orientation and you'll get the assignment. And I have 100% compliance with that assignment. Every single person does the assignment and does it correctly. So you have a question, Lisa?
Yes, I'm sorry. Where do you post that? Where do you post the video or the recording?
Yeah, I'll show you when we get to it. That's a really great question. Remind me, just in case I forget, remind me. Yeah.
Also, I want to know how you and Angela create the little thing that says virtual office. How you set the link for Zoom.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'll show you how to minimize your Zoom screen right now, and you can both add it to your sandbox.
Oh, okay.
If you have a Zoom account, you need to have a Confer Now account, which you should have, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So on the second page, there's another thing to remind them where the next button is. And then after that, I kind of feel like they probably have it. I don't have to remind them to look for the next button again. But one thing I do in designing my pages is keep them short enough that that next button is visible. So I don't have to scroll to look for it. So the first couple of pages are just a paragraph and no more than a paragraph. So they never have to scroll to look for the next button. Training them to look for it and move on to the next thing. Okay, so we've got, are you ready for online learning? And again, this is an activity in my class. So they take one of these online learning tutorials from OEI. And in their first discussion, there's another link to the tutorials, but it says, which tutorial did you take? What did you learn from it? And if you were going to tell your friend to take an online course, what would you tell them is an important thing for them to know about online courses, so that there's an activity tied to that readiness module. So really engaging the students instead of just letting them passively watch it. I ask them if their computer is ready. In my particular campus, we have a lot of students from low income areas, and sometimes their computers are not up to date, and so that helps them. And then some Canvas tutorials so that they can learn how to navigate Canvas. And this orientation module is the one that we made available to you. So any of these pages that you find, you're interested in the language or you're interested in the layout, you can copy those directly over from the source material that we gave you, right? That's totally fine. It's all Creative Commons licensed, and it's Creative Commons licensed for a reason. We don't want you to have to reinvent the wheel. And any of this language as well, you can modify. So if something doesn't fit your class, take it out. Or if it doesn't fit your personality style, reword it, okay? A student support page for them with links to the DSPS office and things like that. Okay, so this is 22 pages. We're not going to go through every page in the module, but I do want to kind of show you the flow of my module. So all of these are like pieces of my syllabus. I've broken up my syllabus and put the chunks into content pages for the students, rather than giving them a downloadable syllabus. I do have an accessible downloadable copy for most of the students move through here. And the reason why I've done that is this table of contents from the module view allows them in week 4 then, if they have a question about the required materials or if they have a question about grading, they can scroll down this table of contents to find the information rather than searching through a long document. Right in the middle of this orientation unit, I actually have getting to know each other. This is something that I did after teaching this course multiple times, because I used to put the discussion forums at the end of the module. So go through the module and then do the discussion. And then I realized everybody's posting on Friday or Saturday, and I want them to engage early in the week, right? Well, if I move where the discussion is and put it earlier in the module, lo and behold, if they're nexting through the module, they get to the discussion earlier and they post to it. And then they can return to it later in the week, and they will use the discussion link or something like that to return later in the week. But it gets them interacting with one another just a little bit earlier. And especially in this first week, you want them interacting as soon as possible, right? You want them interacting in that discussion forum.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you think it would be nice to have a deadline in the middle of the week maybe to do that or not? Like a Wednesday or something like that? What do you think about that? I don't know.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you can tell from these due dates. This week started on the 15th and it ends on the 21st.
Okay.
Okay. And the discussion forum, it says that it's due on the 18th, which is Wednesday. And so when you look on the syllabus page, which will actually give your students that assignment list, right? So this is the syllabus tool in Canvas. And any assignment that you build in Canvas will automatically appear in this assignment summary. That's the magic of the Canvas syllabus. So you no longer have to make that due date list that you might have made for your students before. So what they'll see is that, well, in this case, the getting to know each other discussion is actually on Thursday, right? So the due date for the discussion is Thursday, but if you look at the discussion, what it will say is the initial post is due on Wednesday. It should have been the due. Yeah. And the responses are not due until Saturday, right? Oh. So the interesting thing with Canvas is if they post the first post by the due date, then they don't get marked late. But if they post the first post after the due date, they will get marked late.
Okay.
Okay. So students who post by that that Wednesday date will be fine, even if their second and third posts come later than Wednesday. Okay. Right? It's just that first post that it's getting. So I strongly encourage you to set the due date as the first date of your discussion. Yeah. Okay. Just to kind of remind them that they need to get it in there and start working.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really good question. Okay, so there's lots of things in this first module, but down here is my page for my virtual orientation. And before the virtual orientation takes place, it has a link to the virtual orientation. After the virtual orientation, I put archive in the title. So I actually go in and I edit it and I add archive. Okay. So before that, it just said virtual orientation with a due date. And now it says virtual orientation archive. And what I include, let me just save it and then, is, that wasn't helpful. Just trying to make the window a little bigger for you. A link to the archive of the virtual orientation. And virtual orientations tend to be a little bit long. The Zoom file is going to be kind of big. And so I found the best way for it to work is to Zoom automatically downloads onto your computer, so onto your desktop. And I put it up in Google Drive, and then I use a share link to put it into the archive. So if you were to click on this right here, it would actually open in my Google Drive. And that's how I do it.
Okay.
Angela has had really good luck loading them to YouTube. And I have had spotty luck loading them to YouTube. So whenever I need good luck to happen, I give it to Angela and she uploads it into YouTube. I don't know what she does to it, but YouTube sometimes does not like a large file, and she's got the magic. Is there a trick, Angela, to what you do?
The first time I tried to upload a, what we're having here, like a Canvas class is essentially what it was in Canvas. And then it didn't work. Like I set it to do it at work, and then I went home because it takes forever. And then when I came in the next day, it said that it hadn't worked. There was an error because my account wasn't verified. And so I verified my account. You just verify your email address or whatever, and then it worked.
Okay, so I think verifying your
more than 15 minutes if you don't have a verified account.
Yeah, so I think verifying your account is critical to that, but I also think your internet connection is critical to it. And so if it's not uploading fast enough, if the file is so large that it's taking a really long time to upload, then it can get interrupted, and
Probably.
that might be an issue as well. So
I'm sorry, excuse me, Angela, did you download it to your computer first and then upload it to YouTube?
Well, when you make when you do this and you make a recording,
Yes.
it automatically saves it to your computer if you're the one that did the recording.
Mhm.
And so then I just upload it from the computer on my account. And
Okay.
So like I said, the first time, because I'd done it to the @ONE YouTube account, and then that one's fine. But then the next time I tried to do it on my account, I didn't know there was a difference. And then that's when it kicked it back. And that I had to verify it, and then it worked. So I don't know why. I told my daughter, you just can't make videos longer than 15 minutes. That's what I said. Because I don't think she has any business making a video longer than 15 minutes. Nobody wants to watch it.
So the great thing about Zoom is that it will automatically archive onto your computer. So if you forget, when you leave the Zoom session, and if you've recorded, it automatically downloads the recording onto your desktop, which is really, really terrific, because a couple of times using CCC Confer, I forgot to stop the recording. And because you're doing a long orientation and you get caught up in it, and I just exited, and then you lose the recording. It's just fun, right? So the great thing about Zoom is that it does archive onto your computer whether you want it to or not. So, and you can just search for Zoom and you could find it in case you couldn't find it for some reason. Okay, so essentially in the orientation unit, what I'm trying to do is walk students through that syllabus and walk them through what they need to do in my course to be successful, and make sure that they have kind of those expectations set. And because it's a communication course, the discussion forum that they do at the end of my orientation unit is setting the netiquette rules for the course. So they read an essay on netiquette. This is gender and communication. So they read an article on sexist language as well. And then they set the rules that they want other students to follow in the course. And they have to negotiate and come up with 10 rules for the course. So that's how I handle teaching etiquette in my particular course. But the goal then of that orientation unit is teaching them everything that they're going to need to know to be successful in the course, including introducing them to as many tools as I possibly can. So for instance, with the virtual orientation, they have to submit a little statement to me. And so they learn how to submit using a text box entry. What you'll find in OESP is we did that at the very beginning. Within the first 2 or 3 weeks, you had learned how to submit a whole bunch of different things in OESP because we varied the type of assignment we were giving you so that you could practice and see what it looked like from the student perspective. And I do the same thing in my orientation. They have a quiz, they have a discussion, they have a threaded discussion and a regular discussion. And they have 2 different assignment submission types that they do. They're only worth a couple of points, but it makes them comfortable with the actual class interface. Mm-hmm. And in the virtual orientation, I walk them specifically through some of the tools in Canvas that we're going to be using in our course. And so I tailor that to what these students are going to be using in this particular class. In a content module, I actually use a content delivery, well, you see it all the time in OESP, I use soft chalk. And so my modules are 3 weeks long because my units are 3 weeks long. And so they follow a very distinct rhythm. Students get the unit overview. The unit overview discusses the actual learning objectives of the unit. In this particular case, Unit 1 is about learning about our course. And so all 5 of the learning objectives for the course are part of that. And then I have a short introductory video to the unit that I have recorded. So it's right there on the first page, that kind of introduction to what our course is. And then I explain to them the flow of the unit as well. So really helping to set the expectations for the students. This is how much time it's going to take you. This is what you should do first. This is how you should plan to interact with this particular unit. And then they follow a very, very specific rhythm. Here's the to-do list, and you can tell from reading the assignments. They have a chapter that they're going to read. They have a lesson that they'll do. Then they have a discussion that they're going to do. Chapters to read, lesson, discussion. Chapter to read, lesson, discussion. And then at the end of it, they have a unit project that they have to turn in. Just recently, this semester, I found I was having a lot of questions from students about the unit assignment in like week 1 and week 2. And the assignment was open for them. They just weren't clicking on it. They weren't going to it. And so now I've moved the assignment instructions to the very top of the unit. So even though this isn't due for another 3 weeks, they read these assignment instructions and see the rubric for the assignment in week 1. So they get the unit objectives, the unit to-do list, and then the assignment for the unit, the big project for the unit. So this is the summative assessment that my students will do in this unit. It's worth far more points than all the rest of them. It's 125 points. And then they have the lessons that they go through. And so you could do the same thing that I do with soft chalk. You could think of each one of these soft chalk pages as a content page in your unit. So this particular unit is about key terms. So don't look at that huge list and go, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I'm not taking her course. The unit's about key terms. And so there's a ton of them this time. Usually I have somewhere between 4 and 10 key terms for every new unit. But in this particular case, there's a ton of them because that's what it's all about. But I try to keep the content on each page in a digestible chunk, not to overload a student on any given page, so that, you know, if they were studying for just a half an hour, that they could easily read a page, any other source material that I have with it, and then I have the reinforcing quiz questions as well. And what you'll see in my units, this right here is a curated short video that is done by one of the libraries about what is a journal and a peer-reviewed article. So my students can get used to when they're looking at things from an internet source, when they're looking at things from an academic source. But I also have TED Talks. And I also have very short instructional videos that I have created. In this case, the assignment that I have students do for the orientation, remember how I told you that if they miss the live orientation, they have to watch the archive to get the assignment? And the assignment is actually to send me a very short note telling them what they need me to do to help them be successful in the course. And these students will tell you all different kinds of things like, I just need you to be supportive. I don't need anything unless I fall behind. Or I need you to be sure to remind me of due dates. I need you to make sure that the course is organized. It's really interesting what you learn from your students when you ask them what they need. But in this particular course, one student said, I hate videos. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I have a ton of videos in this course. And she said, I would much rather read it. And she said, I'll even watch a video if I can read along with it. And so I emailed back to her and I said, you know, all of my videos are closed captioned. And she's like, I hate closed captioned. And I'm like, what? She's like, I like to read ahead. I like to, you know, I'll listen to it, but I like to read ahead. And so then I thought, okay, wait a second. I can do that. I have every script for every video. And so what I've done for all of the videos that I created in this class is also included the transcript. So the rest of the students can watch the video and she can read the transcript. That's totally fine. It's all of the information. It's exactly what she needs to know, right? So I've also included those. And sometimes an outside document. Of course, making sure that the outside document that you're choosing is accessible. That's the kicker, is making sure that it's accessible. So that's what students can expect from a lesson. And when you look at the overarching module, then what you see is this pattern in a 3-week module. There's the unit introduction, the assignment, and then the weekly pattern. A lesson, a discussion, a lesson, a discussion, a lesson, and a discussion, which keeps the students engaged in the course. It gives it to them in bite-sized chunks so they're not overwhelmed at any given time in the course. It's predictable for them. They know exactly how long the course is going to take them each week. And I also aggressively use announcements. I to them twice a week, trying really hard to make sure that my announcement has the information that I need them to have, but also has something tied to what they've produced that week, so that they know I'm reading their posts, I'm listening to them, and encouraging them. So sometimes what I'll find early on is someone who has answered a question for another student. And so I'll thank them in the announcement. I'll say, you know, great job to Lisa, who reached out to Jean-Marie and answered a question for him. And then sometimes I give them stars for that. I should have flagged one of these. Oh, I bet you I know where one is. So that's just a quick instructional video that I created. But then that's not a good example. So my instructional videos aren't necessarily in the unit. Sometimes I put a little instructional video in the announcement instead to kind of like get their interest, to make sure that they're not missing something. Okay, we'll see. Okay. So I've made several of these stars in Canva. And one of the things that I do is if someone has answered a question, this is the first time that this course has been taught using this campus just went live on Canvas. And so there was a little tech glitch where the scores weren't loading. And so Maria very quickly let me know that the scores from some loading. I worked with our IT department and it was solved within an hour of it happening. So instead of impacting the entire class, because she was proactive, we got it fixed before, I think like 3 students had a problem. And so you want to reward students for communicating with you when there's a problem like that. So I gave her a gold star for the day. And students love these. I actually had one student, after like week 3 in the course, she sent me a message in the inbox, and she said, Dr. Lene, I just want to let you know, I haven't gotten a gold star yet. And I thought, oh my gosh, she's going to complain because she didn't get a gold star. And she said, but even though I haven't received one, I feel so good because other people are getting gold stars. It makes me so happy. I just wanted to let you know that their gold stars made me happy. And I was like, oh, okay, you know what? That's perfect. And so, I don't do a lot of them, but every couple of weeks when someone does something that they didn't have to do that benefits everyone, I have like 4 different stars that I give, so they don't always get the same. So sometimes they're in the announcements, sometimes they're in a discussion forum, but it's just my way of kind of like saying, hey, you are all making a great class too. It's not just me that's making the class, and I think it really helps. So where is all of this taking us? One thing is that we want you to kind of think through what you've built in your sandbox. And we have shown you how to make one content page. But obviously, a good orientation unit or a good content unit has a lot of content pages. We've shown you how to make one video. What else do you need to do to flesh out your unit? People often think when they're designing their first online course that their summative assessment is a quiz at the end of the unit. But a summative assessment is actually a large assessment that takes place at the end of a learning unit. So we realized that if your learning unit is 3 weeks, you might be able to build out a skeleton of it. But if your learning unit, like some courses are literally, you have a midterm and a final, and we don't expect you to build out 8 weeks of your course. That's a big task. It might be something that's going to take you the next semester to build out what you want. So we want you to start thinking about how much time it's going to take you to build out enough that we can get a sense of what your learning unit looks like, so that when you take us on a tour of your course, we can actually see what your unit will look like. And then we also want you to be thinking through the @1 standards and how does your course illustrate your understanding of the @1 standards. So for instance, if I were to go through standards 1 through 10, standard 1 is about supporting student success. So I will tell you that I consciously shape my orientation unit so that I can start my students off as successfully as possible. But it doesn't just end in week 1. Like my stars are one way that I keep it going throughout the course, keep their energy going, keep their conversations going, and let them know that they're supported. And help them overcome any barriers that they have. My introductory assignment, asking them what they need from me, is one way of letting them tailor my instruction to them so that I can help them overcome any educational barriers that they have. I mean, I'll occasionally have a student that will say, I am really bad at late assignments, and I just need someone occasionally to tell me I'm okay, and it's okay if I have a late assignment. And, that, of course, is your personal choice about whether or not you want to accept that late assignment. But if you have a student coming and telling you that at the very beginning, it kind of leads me to think that I'm going to give that student a little bit of extra support at some point. And I know that, right? If you look at standard 6 is accessibility. What have you done to make your course accessible? I make sure every video in my course is closed captioned. When possible, I also provide a transcript. I make sure every PDF I put in my course is accessible. And I make sure that my content pages are using the rich content editor to make sure that this is labeled as a header and that I'm using all of the tools of the rich content editor to make sure it's accessible. Standard 7 is about assessments. How am I using formative and summative assessments in the class? Well, my unit walks them through the lessons, which are formative assessments. They're little tiny quiz questions all the way through them so that the students can assess whether or not they're learning the material. The discussions build toward that final project. And then my summative assessment for that unit is tied all the way through from beginning to end so that they know exactly what it is that they're working towards in that unit. So as you take us on the tour of your course, you want to be planning your presentation based on those 10 standards and making sure that you're walking through and illustrating for us how those 10 standards are affecting the design of your course.
Okay, makes sense. Now I get it.
Good. And if you need to do dry runs with us, if you need to meet with us and ask us questions about what you're doing, if you need help planning what you're going to do in your presentation, that's what we're here for. These last couple of weeks, I have a ton of time for you. Angela is available for you. The two of us can meet you in your sandbox and walk through some things with you. That's really what these last few weeks are all about. Helping.
So sorry. So yeah, now I get it, because I thought you were expecting the full course from from day one to the end. Now I get it.
Awful? Wouldn't that be awful?
I know.
So what we ask for is an orientation unit and one content unit.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
So here's the mistake that people make. People think that one content unit is 1 week. And so what they map out for us is like, here's a little bit of content, here's a discussion and a quiz. And we are interested in that. We know that's where you begin, but we also want to see like, how is that building up to whatever that big end of unit piece is. And so we want to see that large end of unit summative assessment. And even if you don't have all of the content in between built out, we want to see how you're going to build to the summative assessment. So, so don't leave out that summative assessment, I guess is what I'm saying. It's an important part of understanding how your learning unit works.
Are we, while we're presenting, are we referencing our e-portfolio at all, or are we just strictly walking you through a course and addressing each of these standards?
So different people do it different ways. A lot of people start at their e-portfolio and walk us quickly through the e-portfolio. Some people walk us through their sandbox first and then go to the e-portfolio. Some people go back and forth between the two. Some of them just reference the e-portfolio. Okay. When we review your sandbox and e-portfolio, we'll look at both. So we recognize that your presentation is only an hour and that you can't say everything that you'd like to say. So your presentation needs to be planned so that you can kind of hit the high notes. But then we'll look through your portfolio and we'll look through your sandbox as well. We definitely know that you can't cover all of the material that's in your e-portfolio. We know that your e-portfolio is a rich resource. And so hit the high notes and whatever makes sense for you. Some people don't even take us into their e-portfolio. They talk about it through their sandbox, and then we'll review your e-portfolio on our time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, we're wrapping up the last, couple of content assignments in the course, and then you have some time to build. And what we'd like to see you do is think through how much time you need to actually work on your sandbox, and then schedule a presentation time with us. Up until now, we have been making people schedule a presentation in week 12. And so you literally had just 1 week to kind of work on your portfolios, your sandbox, sorry. And what we found is people aren't ready. They're stressed and they're uncomfortable. Now, other people have a lot of content already made and they're like, yes, I want to do my presentation right away. So what we have is a little bit more of a flexible window this time. And we'll have some specific dates and times. We'll put up a Google Doc that has some specific dates and times. And then you can schedule your presentation when you think that you'll be ready. And you can also schedule in sometimes with Angela or with me or with both of us, where we go and look at your sandbox and give you some feedback on your sandbox.
Okay. I have some very general question. Maybe I want to go back, if you don't mind. I was just wondering, because I never did that. First time I'm doing some online teaching. How do you really figure out the workload in terms of hours for 1 week, for one unit? I mean, because I say, how many hours, how many pages? Because I'm spending so many hours, I'm trying to be, kind of a little picky maybe, but I spend like 20 hours a week. My wife doesn't see me anymore. So yeah. Usually, how do you really, what would be the average for an average student, the workload in terms of week? If you say, okay, this unit going to be 10 hours for you guys. I mean, how do we really know they're going to spend 10 hours and not 20 hours? I mean, how do you?
I think you're asking a really good question. And I think we do it the same way that we do it when we assign homework. Although I know plenty of instructors that have absolutely no idea how long it takes their students to do their homework. So I always ask my students for years, when they would come back, I would say, how long did it take you to read this chapter? What did you think of this chapter? But that's the kind of interaction I like with my students. I like them to feel like they have some control over what we're doing. So there's a couple of ways that I do it. I start with any material that I know is timed. So if there is a film or short videos or anything like that, I write them down first.
Okay.
In an average class, you want it to be about 10 hours a week, probably between 8 and 10 hours a week. Right, that's what fits the Carnegie unit,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like the sweet spot. Now, I've actually seen faculty design courses, and they have, if you add up all of the video that they've assigned to their students in a particular week, it's like 12 hours. Like, hello, you have to pay attention to that, right?
Yeah.
So say if I have 2 hours of video, which would be a tremendous amount. I strongly suggest you not have 2 hours, but I do have weeks with documentaries in them, and the documentaries range from 30 minutes to 60 minutes. Okay, so let's just say I had 2 hours. Then I would subtract that from the amount that I have left. And then I kind of have a rule of thumb that works for me, which is I like somewhere between 10 and 12 content pages. And then if you keep each one of those content pages to a rich paragraph or two, so that they're not overwhelmed by the amount of information on any page.
And one page will be like between 250 and 500 words, basically, technically.
Yes, it is, right? So asking them to go look at an external website or to research something really quickly so that they're ready for a discussion forum or anything like that, then you need to take that time into consideration as well, right? So I figure for each one of my content pages, it probably takes them 15 minutes to half an hour if they're a slow reader. Okay. So that's why I try to keep it like about 10 pages. Now, I think that it's very, very easy for them to go through those content pages in 5 hours. That's probably way overestimating the amount of time that it will take them. But I also tell my students in my discussion forums that like this is a communication course. We're going to spend a ton of time in the discussion forum. So you should plan to spend 1 or 2 hours a week reading and responding to other students. And if that's what you want them to do, you have to let them know and you have to plan that into your timeline.
Yeah. And for example, for my content, I think they should spend hours in personal readings, but that's what you should expect, because you have to do a lot of readings besides the course. That's something personal, I guess. So.
And I think the interesting thing about OESP is that if you trust the assignment we've given you, then chances are you can finish in 10 hours. But the faculty who tell us it's taking a little longer than 10 hours are the ones that are going above and beyond. So, you know, I have no doubt, Jean-Marie, that you are spending 20 hours in the course each week, but I also know that you're going far beyond what we've asked for in an assignment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just having personal fun. That's something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm thinking about a student. You know, we're gonna have maybe, you know, I mean, he has to do a lot of stuff. You know, so yeah, I get it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I think it's one of the hardest things about designing your online course is making sure that the course load is manageable. And I ask my students on a regular basis. So they have a midterm, and the final essay question on the midterm is, how long is the course taking you? What resources did you like? What resources do you think I need to revise for the next session of this course? And they're really honest with you. They'll say, like, I liked this, I didn't like this. And then for my final, I actually asked them, you know, if I was going to change this course, what one unit would you tell me, please don't change it, keep that unit, I love that unit? And what one unit would you tell me, I didn't like that one so much? And it gives you a sense of, like, if everybody's pointing to the same unit, then maybe you need to change something, right? But I asked them, like, how much time they spent in the course and things like that. And they'll tell you pretty honestly. I mean, especially my end of course survey is anonymous, right? So they'll tell you, oh yeah, they might hedge it, right? I started a new job, and so I just wasn't able to read as much as I should have. And so they'll make an excuse for it, but then they'll tell you that they only spend, you know, three hours a week or something. So.
Okay, and in terms of design, I think you like to use a soft chalk beside Canvas, I guess. And if we don't have access to soft chalk, what do you recommend?
Oh, I shouldn't have stopped sharing now that you said that. So. Let's go into one of those soft chalk assignments. So I love soft chalk because of the interactive questions. And I started using soft chalk before I had Canvas, and my course management system was awful. And it was awful. So soft chalk really helped me help the students. But if I'm putting this in a soft chalk page, right, there's no reason why the exact same information can't be in a Canvas page. And so you would make a little soft chalk unit, but you would do it using Canvas. You would just copy and paste that into a Canvas page. And then the next button in Canvas is what you would use instead of the next button in soft chalk, right? Yeah. So essentially this information would be on one page, and then they would hit the next button and there'd be information on the next page. It's just chunking your material. Now, the piece that you lose is this interactive quiz.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But there's a couple of ways that you could do it. First of all, you could do, in a unit, in a week, you could do 3 small quizzes instead of 1 big quiz at the end of the week. So students take a quiz after reading 3 or 4 pages, and then they read a couple more pages and they take another little quiz. All my quizzes are 15 points, and so essentially you could ask them like 3 or 4 multiple choice questions, and that would be a quiz for that particular section. Or you could have them do 1 quiz at the end of the lesson, right? So at the end of the week, they do a quiz that helps reinforce the concepts. The idea of those quizzes are not to see who's reading and who's not. If that's what you want your quiz for, then you need to do something different, right? You have to trust that your students are going through the material. The idea of the quiz is to reinforce the key concepts that you think are super important. Sure. And so it just gives them, they're reading them one more time, right? Which is one reason why, I hope it's in here, I'll be really embarrassed if it's not. Okay, after watching the short video on peer-reviewed journals, please select the most accurate answer. Sure. So let's select peer-reviewed journals can be found at any grocery store right next to the National Enquirer, right? And so this is false, right? So when they check the answer, it will say, sorry, wrong answer. Peer-reviewed journals are found in college libraries. When they read that peer-reviewed journals are found in college libraries, it just reinforced the concept for them. So I actually like it when they get it wrong, because then they read that one more time, right? And now technically all they have to do is go and say, oh, okay, so peer-reviewed journals are a type of peer record that focus on a specific field or topic. Okay, I'll choose that one, and then check their answer again, and it's right. Okay, so, you know, I don't really care what they're, every single one of them gets 15 points on every quiz.
Yeah.
Which is why the assignments are worth 125, right? Because the assignment is what's really going to matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good.
We keep saying at one that we're going to take a soft chalk unit and put it into a Canvas module so people can see the difference between the soft chalk unit and the Canvas module. And really the only difference is going to be that that interactive quiz is not on every page, but there's many places to put it within the module. But we haven't had time yet. All of you keep us busy.
Yes. Okay.
Could you show us how to insert that link into our?
Yeah. Okay, so minimize your screen, which means that what you're going to have to do is, minimize your Zoom screen. So hold on one second. Let me remember how to do it.
Press escape.
Yeah, press escape. There's another way to do it. Under more, so that little bar that you have that's your menu, if you click on more, then it will say, since I'm the one sharing, it's not saying it. It will say exit full screen. Do you see that?
Well, I see your screen, and then I see our little pictures on the right.
So you should have a little Zoom menu bar that has like the microphones on it and stuff like that.
Well, I minimized, and then now I don't know what I'm.
Yeah, me too. I don't know.
I minimized it, and then I did something else, and now I'm not really sure. Exit full screen.
Okay, so exit full screen.
Okay.
Okay, so this will allow you to watch our video, but then also do something else on your desktop. Okay, so what I want you to do is go into well, here, wait, I shouldn't have done it that way. Just have to move our heads. There we go, off to the side. Okay, so go to Confer Zoom or Confer Now, however you have it bookmarked. It's the same thing now. Oh, I see, that's the problem. Okay, are you there?
No, I'm sorry. What do I go to?
Confer Now or Confer Zoom. It's the same. It'll take you to the same site, but it's your Zoom account, and you're going to sign into your Zoom account.
Some weird thing comes up, but okay. Let's see here. Zoom. Okay, so I have Zoom.us. Does that sound right? No.
Yeah. Do you already do you already have an account with Confer Now?
I should, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure.
So what you'll have to do is go to confernow.org. We asked you to set one up earlier, but you might not have done it when we asked you to set it up. So
No, I did. So I'm into my account now.
Okay, I am in this, yeah. I think I am in
Mhm.
upcoming meetings, previous meetings, scheduled meeting.
Okay, excellent.
I guess that's it. No, I guess.
So this is what you're going to do. You're going to go to schedule a meeting.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
And then you're going to call it whatever your course is, your office hours. And you might end up using Zoom a lot. So be sure that you give this a descriptive title. You're going to need it to be descriptive. Okay, and then instead of setting a date and a time for it, click this little box right here that says recurring meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Are you there, Lisa?
Yes, recurring meeting.
Okay, perfect. All right, and then all you have to do is click schedule. That's it. That's all. Well, actually, let me
You have
back
to
up.
Enable,
Click
yeah.
Yeah, enable join before host. That way, otherwise, when your student clicks into the virtual office, it will have a little thing saying that they have to wait for the host. And you don't want them to have to wait for the host. It makes them feel like they're not sure whether or not it's working.
Okay.
So I always enable join before host.
Okay, and then hit schedule.
Hit schedule. And when you do that, you're going to get a URL right here. Okay?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So go ahead and copy that URL.
Okay.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I don't know if I can do this from, well, here, this is what we'll find out, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay,
like
so
copy
now you're back
meeting,
in your course.
Yeah, you have the copy meeting invitation, hi there, blah, 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 blah. Yes.
Yeah, just copy the URL. Just
Okay.
the URL, okay? All right, now in your Sandbox course, go to settings.
Mm-hmm.
From settings, go, and then where it says filter by name, type in redirect.
I'm sorry, go to what in settings?
Go to apps.
Apps.
So first it will take you to course details,
Uh-huh.
sections, navigate, and then click on apps.
Got it.
Okay, and then redirect, and here's the redirect tool.
Yeah. I don't see apps. What do you?
Okay, so click on settings,
Yeah, I am in.
and then there's course there's course
Okay,
details.
okay. Apps, yes. On the menu, start in the bar. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, click on apps, and then in the little search box, type a redirect.
Which box? I have filter by. I have a filter by name. Redirect.
Yes, that one.
Yep.
Where is
Okay.
it? And
All right, so select the redirect tool. Just click on the redirect tool,
yeah.
and then click Add App.
Okay.
Okay, don't fill anything in yet. A dialog box is going to pop up. Okay,
Yes.
and
Good.
then it's going to tell you you have to name it. Okay, so name it virtual office or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then right there where it says URL redirect,
Mm-hmm.
that's where you paste in that URL from your Zoom conference.
Okay.
Okay. And now, most important, hit show in course navigation. And this will add it to that navigation bar.
And deselect force open in new tab or leave that one
Yeah,
checked?
so that just means that, keep it checked. That just means that the students are going to be asked if they want to open it in a new window.
Okay.
And so it's just a courtesy to students so it doesn't like open right there. Okay?
And we click add.
Click add app.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
add app.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, before you and say it didn't add it to my menu, go up and hit refresh. Okay, so refresh the whole screen again. And when you refresh it, there's your magic virtual office. Yay! That's a good sign.
now are we going to be using that link when we do our presentations?
You could invite us to your virtual office. You very well could. Yeah. Or you can choose another presentation time and call it your final presentation or your OESP presentation or something like that. You can make, once you have a Confer account through the Chancellor's office, you can make a gazillion meetings. You can how many meetings I have.
So you will provide us the
awesome.
names and emails of the people that are going to make up the committee that are reviewing our course?
Most likely it will be Angela and I, and perhaps someone else, but you don't need their emails. That they'll just need access to your presentation, and we'll provide a discussion forum in OESP where you post that information.
So when I share my screen, so that person doesn't need to be enrolled in my sandbox?
No.
Okay. All right.
Well, actually, we have the enrollment code. So when you're sharing your screen, they don't need to be enrolled in it. But if they're going to review your sandbox, they'll use the enrollment code.
Got it.
That you provided earlier in the course.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Terrific. Well, I'm going to stop sharing.
Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing that you said you would help us with is how to archive I'm sorry. Unless you want it, we could do it some other time during our.
Yeah, you want to know how to archive your virtual orientation?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're done with the Zoom session, so you're recording the Zoom session, right? And when you're done, you click the record, you unselect the record button to stop recording, okay? And when you leave the meeting, then it buffers and downloads automatically to your desktop.
Okay.
And then you can put it up into YouTube, or you can put it up into Google Drive, any of those. And then
it's
when you
already
do that,
built in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you don't have to do anything. Yeah.
Got it.
It automatically downloads for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the terrific piece of Zoom because it's so easy when you end the meeting to forget that you were going to create an archive, and it just does it for you. Right?
Okay.
Well, it doesn't create the archive, it creates the file that you need to create the archive.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good.
Yeah, and once you do, you can try that. And so if you want to invite Angela or me to a Zoom session and record it, and because we have to leave, we have to leave the meeting before it will create that file. Okay. But if you want to try it one time, we're more than happy to join you in a fake meeting and let you record it so that you can see what that file looks like, and so that you can try to upload it. We're more than happy to fake meeting with you.
Okay. All right. Well, I have other questions, but they pertain to my particular course, so I will try to schedule a meeting with. Do I schedule it with both of you, or either of you, or who's the person?
Yeah, you know what? So we're at a conference right now. We're actually hosting a conference, and so we're presenting tomorrow as well. And I'm traveling home tomorrow night, but Angela couldn't get a flight out. Our conference goes too late, so she's not leaving until Sunday morning. So it'll be like Monday or Tuesday before we kind of regroup. And then we'll put a schedule up in OESP that will give you time to sign up for individual one-on-one conferences with us. And then also we'll set up a schedule for final presentations. And so you can schedule for as many hours as you need. So
I guess when I signed up for the course, I thought it would be ending next week.
If you need it to end next week, it can end next week for you.
So there is a possibility of doing my presentation at the end of next week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We don't force you to take extra time. We give you extra time in case you need it. Yeah.
Understood. Okay.
I know you have a very particular timetable, and we want to help you meet that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, so I should send both of you an email to see if we can do a preview, and I can get some specific questions answered, and then And then do that, and then hopefully at the end of the week do a presentation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Excellent.
that sounds great.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. And
All right.
John Marie, you might want to go back in my class. You gave me some great feedback.
Yeah.
Design. So you might want to check it out and then
Yeah.
see if
Okay.
it's helpful.
Yeah,
Thank
you're very
you.
welcome. Yeah, I will
Mhm.
appreciate that. Yes.
All right.
I think we put Angela to sleep. All right. Everybody,
Yes.
I'm not
have a great
sleeping.
evening.
I'm here.
Okay.
It's a long day.
Thank you, everyone.
I think she's ready for Halloween. I can see that.
Yes, she is.
She's ready. Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, my boss asked me today, isn't it a bit early for Halloween? I'm like, it's Monday.
Yeah. It's like-
And
Okay,
you know,
so
you only get to wear them once a year. You might as well wear them a couple times.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right.
I'm with you, Angela.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you
Yes.
so much. That's very
All right.
nice.
Thank you very much. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, have a great weekend, guys.
Take
Okay?
care.
Okay. Bye, Lisa.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.